You'll be shocked to learn the truth about Jesus' face and skin color. Was he really how we picture him today? A letter from Pilate to Roman Emperor Tiberius reveals surprising details about Jesus' appearance, details not even mentioned in the Gospels. This letter also describes Jesus' miracles, trial, crucifixion, and incredibly, his resurrection. But what exactly did Pilate write? What did he tell the emperor about the resurrection and Jesus' physical appearance? Pilate begins his letter with, "Greetings, Majesty. Recent events in my province have been so astonishing that I must report them in detail. I believe they may impact the future of our empire. It feels as if the gods have turned away from us. Since I took over Judea, my life has been full of troubles. When I arrived in Jerusalem, I hosted a grand banquet and invited the Galilean Tetrarch, the high priest, and his officials. But no one showed up. I saw this as an insult to my authority and Rome itself. Days later, the high priest visited me with a serious but deceitful expression. He claimed his religion forbade him from eating with Romans, but I could see he was not sincere. It became clear that he and his followers were against Rome. I warned that Roman officials should be careful around these high priests. They would betray even their own mothers for power and wealth. Jerusalem is the hardest city we have ever ruled. The people are rebellious, and I fear an uprising at any moment. I have only 100 soldiers under my command, and my request for reinforcements was denied. Our desire to expand the empire seems greater than our ability to protect it. This could be our downfall. To avoid conflict, I kept my distance but tried to understand the people. I heard rumors about a young man in Galilee teaching a new doctrine in the name of a God who sent him. At first, I thought he was stirring rebellion, but I soon realized that wasn't true. In fact, Jesus of Nazareth seemed more sympathetic to Rome than to his own people. One day, I saw a crowd gathered around a young man leaning against a tree, speaking calmly. I knew at once it was Jesus. He stood out among them. I did not approach but sent my secretary to listen. When my secretary returned, he told me what Jesus had said. I have read the greatest philosophers, but none spoke with such wisdom. Then, a Jewish rebel from Jerusalem asked Jesus. When asked if it was right to pay taxes to Caesar, Jesus said, "Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and to God what belongs to God." That wisdom led me to release the Nazarene. I had the power to arrest or exile him, but that would have been unjust. Justice is a key principle of Rome. Jesus was not a troublemaker or a rebel. I even protected him, though he may not have realized it. He was free to speak, gather followers, and teach without interference. If one day, may the gods forbid, Rome's religion is replaced by his, it will be because of our tolerance. If that happens, I will have played a role in what the Jews call providence and we call fate. Wealthy and powerful Jews were angry because Jesus spoke against them. He called the scribes and Pharisees serpents, and compared them to beautiful tombs filled with death. He challenged traditions and taught that humility mattered more than status. Almost every day, I received complaints about him. Some warned that he could be in danger, as prophets had been stoned in Jerusalem before. A petition against him was being prepared, but the Senate supported me and promised reinforcements after the Persian War. I did not have enough troops to stop a possible uprising. So, I decided to act before things got worse. I sent for Jesus to speak with him. When he arrived, I stood on the balcony. I am Roman and Spanish, not easily moved, but my whole body trembled. Jesus, calm and pure, stopped and made a small gesture as if to say, "I am here." He was unlike any man I had ever seen. Finally, I spoke. "Jesus of Nazareth, for 3 years, I have given you freedom to speak. Your words are wise. I do not regret it. I do not know if you have read Socrates or Plato, but your speech is greater than theirs. The emperor knows this. I am honored to have allowed you this freedom. But your words have made you powerful enemies. Socrates had enemies too, and they killed him. Yours are even angrier. Some accuse me of conspiring with you to weaken Hebrew rule. I advise you not as an order, but as a warning, be careful with your words." Jesus answered calmly, "Ruler of the earth, true wisdom does not come from your words. Tell Mount Tabor to stop in the valley, and it will say it follows the laws of nature and the Creator. Only God knows where the waters flow. Before the rose of Sharon blooms, the blood of the righteous will be shed." I was moved. "Your blood will not be shed," I replied. "I value your wisdom more than the rebellious Pharisees. They plot against Caesar and spread lies, making people believe he is a tyrant. They do not see that sometimes, the wolf disguises itself as a sheep. I promise to protect him. My praetorium will be a safe place for you, day and night." But Jesus shook his head and smiled. "When the time comes, there will be no refuge for the Son of Man. Not on earth, not below it. The true refuge is in heaven. What is written by the prophets will come to pass." Worried, I said, "You are forcing me to turn my request into an order. The safety of this province is my duty. You must be more careful with your words." Here's the rewritten version in simple English with short sentences. Jesus said, "Peace be with you. I didn't come to bring trouble, but love, kindness, and peace. I was born when Augustus Caesar brought peace to Rome. Persecution will come, but not because of me. Others will cause it. I follow my Father's will. You have no power to stop the sacrifice." After saying this, he left, like the sun setting in the distance. I felt relieved. His presence was too heavy for me. Herod was old and wanted revenge. He joined Jesus' enemies. If he could, he would have killed Jesus right away. But he hesitated. He didn't want to lose favor with the Senate. Herod visited me at the praetorium. Before leaving, he asked what I thought of Jesus. I said Jesus seemed wise, not a political threat. Rome had no reason to stop him. Herod smirked and left. Passover was near. The city was tense. Crowds demanded Jesus' death. My informants said the temple's money had been used to bribe people. A Roman soldier had been humiliated in public. I sent a letter to the governor of Syria. I asked for 100 soldiers and 100 cavalrymen. He refused. I had only a few veterans in a hostile city. I couldn't stop an uprising. I had to endure it. Jesus was arrested as a rebel, but there was no proof. His enemies said I was protecting a revolt. The crowd shouted, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" 3 groups turned against Jesus: the Herodians, the Sadducees, and the Pharisees. The Herodians and Sadducees hated him but also resented Rome. They never forgave me for bringing banners with Caesar's image into the city. Another conflict started. I suggested using temple funds for public works. The Pharisees opposed it. They already hated Jesus because he criticized them for years. The crowd was restless. They were ready to rebel. Jesus was taken to the high priest and sentenced to death. Caiaphas, the high priest, sent him to me for approval. I refused and sent him to Herod, since he was from Galilee. Herod acted like he respected my authority but sent Jesus back. Now, the decision was mine. My palace became a fortress. More rebels arrived. Crowds filled Jerusalem. A Galilean prophet fell at my feet. He cried, "Do not harm this man. He is sacred." I saw him walk on water and calm a storm. The statues of Caesar wept, and the sun darkened. If you ignore your wife's warning, disaster will come. Fear the Senate. Fear Caesar. The marble steps of the praetorium trembled under the weight of the crowd. They brought Jesus back to me. I went to the hall of justice. Soldiers guarded me. I asked the people what they wanted. "Kill Jesus," they shouted. "What crime has he committed?" I asked. He blasphemed. He prophesied the temple's destruction. He calls himself the Son of God, the Messiah, the King of the Jews." I told them Roman law did not punish people for this. But they kept shouting, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" The palace walls shook from their cries. Through it all, Jesus stayed calm. I tried to save him. It was tradition to free a prisoner at Passover. I offered to release Jesus. The crowd refused to listen. They kept demanding Jesus' death. I reminded them that their own laws were against it, but they ignored me. A judge couldn't sentence someone without fasting for a day. The Sanhedrin had to approve the decision, and the president had to sign it. Executions couldn't happen on the same day as the verdict. The case had to be reviewed again the next day. Before an execution, a man stood at the court's door with a banner while another on horseback announced the prisoner's name, crime, and witnesses, asking if anyone could defend him. The accused could return up to 3 times to give new arguments. I hoped this would calm the crowd, but they kept shouting, "Crucify him!" I ordered Jesus to be flogged, thinking it would satisfy them, but their hatred only grew. I washed my hands, declaring Jesus innocent, but it was no use. His fate was sealed. The crowd's rage was unlike anything I had ever seen. It felt as if hell itself had risen in Jerusalem. As Jesus was led to execution, the city emptied. A strange darkness filled the sky. The earth trembled. Black clouds covered the temple. A violent earthquake hit Lower Egypt, terrifying the Jews. That night, I walked toward Golgotha. The sacrifice was done. People were returning home, filled with regret. Even my Roman soldiers were shaken. Some Jewish soldiers whispered about miracles. Many stopped and stared at Calvary, waiting for a sign. At the Praetorium, an old man was weeping. He fell at my feet, asking to bury Jesus. "I am Joseph of Arimathea," he said. I allowed it and sent soldiers to guard the body. Days later, the tomb was empty. The disciples claimed Jesus had risen. This caused even more chaos. A priest feared the disciples would steal the body. I ordered guards at the tomb. When I heard the tomb was empty, I spoke with Marcus, the guard captain. He had assigned 100 soldiers to secure the site. His lieutenant, Ben Isham, and his men were terrified by what they saw. Ben Isham told me his story. Around the 4th watch, a soft light appeared over the tomb. He thought it was women coming to embalm Jesus' body, but he didn't understand how they got past the guards. Suddenly, the whole area lit up. He saw what looked like many of the dead in burial clothes, but they appeared younger and joyful. A beautiful, heavenly music filled the air. The sky seemed to praise God. Then, the earth shook violently. Ben Isham felt weak and fainted. When he woke up, he was lying face down. I asked if he mistook the light for sunrise. He said no, the sky was still dark. I asked if he felt dizzy from standing too fast. He denied it, saying he hadn't slept all night. Sleeping on duty meant death. Some soldiers had been sleeping, but others saw what happened. I asked how long the scene lasted. He wasn't sure, but he thought about an hour, until daylight. I asked if he went to the tomb after recovering. He said no, he was too afraid. When reinforcements arrived, they all returned to the barracks. I asked if the priests questioned him. He said yes. They wanted him to say there was an earthquake and the guards were asleep. They offered him money to say the disciples stole the body. But he never saw any disciples. He only heard about the missing body later. I asked what the priests believed. He said some thought Jesus was more than a man. They didn't see him as Mary's son but as someone who had appeared before, in Abraham and Lot's time. If true, it explains why Jesus' life was so unique. Both friends and enemies agreed he had power over nature. He turned water into wine, healed the sick, raised the dead, calmed storms, and even made fish appear with coins in their mouths. If these miracles happened, it makes sense why he had so many enemies. He wasn't accused of any crime. Thousands saw his works. At the cross, someone said, "Truly, this was the Son of God. Pontius Pilate described Jesus as unlike any other man. He was of average height, but had a strong presence. His face showed kindness and peace. Even in tense moments, he remained calm. His gaze was deep, as if he understood everyone. His hair was long, soft, and slightly wavy, falling over his shoulders. It was light brown, almost blonde, making him stand out. His eyes were his most striking feature. Some said they changed between light brown and blue, depending on the light. His gaze was wise, kind, and full of strength. His skin was fair and smooth, like someone who spent time outdoors but remained well-kept. His face was symmetrical and inspired trust. His beard was full and well-groomed, adding to his mature appearance. Jesus dressed simply but with dignity. His robes were modest but always clean. He wore no jewelry or decorations, showing his humility. Even without speaking, his presence brought peace. Now, noble sovereign, this is my full account. I have shared every detail so you can judge fairly. I know I have faced much criticism in this matter. With loyalty and respect, I remain your most obedient servant. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel. Click the video on your screen to uncover more mysteries like this.